Hello and welcome everyone. We Weeb online, and today I'm gonna continue the story. What if Naruto was the Iron Man of Konoha Part 4? If you enjoy this video, give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now, wasting no more time, let's begin.
Someone knocked on Naruto's door the next morning. Waking him up, he sighed and rubbed his chin before rising and walking toward the door. When he arrived, he noticed Shino standing at the door and blinked before asking what's going on. Shino, in a neutral tone. Shino said, "May I come in for a moment?" Naruto said, blinking sure. "Come on in. I apologize for the shambles. I hadn't had much time to do anything since I got back." He opened the door wider and stepped aside. As he walked in, Shino raised an eyebrow and said, "I don't see why you should be concerned about what I think of your place. Naruto, after all, it's your home, not mine." As he looked at the clock on the wall, Naruto said, I guess I didn't think of that. So what brings you here at ... Whoa. It's already 11 a.m. I must have been more tired than I thought from returning yesterday. I believe you have slept longer than you believe because you returned 2 days ago," Shino said, as he rubbed the back of his head. Naruto blinked and said, "No joke. Damn. I didn't mean to sleep through yesterday. I am definitely not going to drink again after this time." "Was it Kotsu and Izumo?" Shino inquired. "Yeah, I guess they set you up as well." "Hush, Shino," Naruto said, blinking. "Indeed, I came here for 2 reasons. The first is to inform you that I am aware of your unique status as a symbiotic life form like myself," Shino said, in a half-questioning tone. Naruto rubbed his chin and asked, "What do you mean?" "I am aware of the Kyuubi that was sealed in you. And I also realize that you and it are 2 separate beings. Just as I and my hive are 2 separate beings who live in the same body," Shino said. Naruto froze in his place for a moment before looking at Shino and saying, "Are you sure you're okay with that information? And how did you figure it out?" "I and Shikamaru both deduced the truth and confronted the Sandaime with our theory when he gave us both the rank of Chunin. And we also deduced that you are the son of the Yondaime Hokage," Shino explained, as he reached for an apple. Naruto frowned and asked, "Is the reason you accept me because of who my father was?" "No," Shino replied. "I see you as someone who is unique, like my family. But I would like the opportunity to get to know you as a friend because we share so much." As Shino caught the apple, Naruto tossed it over his shoulder and said, "There's a worm in the apple. I know it's not the same as your hive, but I figured you could place it where it belongs better than I could." "Thank you, Naruto. And I will take care of it on our way to our duty," Shino said, looking at the apple. "What duty?" Naruto inquired. "That is the other reason I am here right now," Shino explained. "You and I have guard duty at the main gate in an hour. And I have done it 3 times while you are away. So I am qualified to teach you what is required to perform this duty. Then I need to get ready." Naruto nods. "Is there anything else?" "No. That's all," Shino replied. Naruto walks into his room and begins to gather his belongings, pausing for a second to say Shino, "Thank you." Shino shined away in a swarm of bugs, a small smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. In Naruto's room, he sat down on his bed and wiped a tear from his face, thinking, "Shino knows about the fox and accepts me. That is something I could not have seen coming and I appreciate it. Shikamaru also knows and he did not act any differently toward me. Perhaps he will accept me as well. I am finally being seen as me and not the fox." As a small smile appeared on his face as he got up and quickly took. When he arrived, he saw Shino and a pair of Chunins he didn't recognize standing there. Both Chunin nod to Shino and leap away, while Naruto approached and asked, "So, what do we do?" "All we have to do is observe those who are coming and going, write down who they are, what time they left or arrived, and look for anything that could be considered suspicious." Shino turned to Naruto and said, "All we have to do is observe those who are coming and going, write down who they are, what time they left or arrived, and look for anything that could be considered suspicious. If we find anything that we suspect, we are to inform the ANBU who are nearby by using this hand sign. Naru, as you can see, that hand sign is very unique and would not be used for anything else. When you use that hand sign with chakra, it emits a small pulse that any ninja in a 4-block radius would detect. Other than those duties, we are to simply stand here or sit in the booth to your right," Shino explained. "Seems simple enough," Naruto said. "How long is our shift?" "That's why this duty is so frowned upon," Shino said, frowning. "All shifts are 12 hours, so we'll be here until midnight." "Well, at least I can send a Kagebunshin to get us some ramen if you don't mind later," Naruto sighed. "That's fine. I'll have a vegetarian ramen to avoid irritating my hives, Shino said. All right, I'll send it around 6 to get them so we can enjoy a hot meal, Naruto said. Shino nods and stands at the gate. And Naruto sighed as he leaned against the wall, looking at his hand, and chakra began to gather in his hand. And Shino looked over at him as a small disk of chakra appeared and faded from view after several seconds. And he asked, "What was that?" "If I may inquire." "Oh, that. It's a jutsu I invented off of one my father first created. I call it the Rasen Shuriken. It's still not complete though. So I figured I can work on it a little bit since it's mostly just chakra control at this stage," Naruto said. "It appears to be a very powerful jutsu," Shino says, nodding. Naruto drew his hand back and threw it at a tree across the road outside the gate. It went right through the tree and dissipated after about 60 yards, and Naruto said, "That is what it does. I hope to get it to the size of a demon windmill shuriken when I am done." "That is most impressive," Shino said, looking at the hole in the tree. "You said you created it off of one of your father's jutsu. Which one?" Naruto raised his hand again, this time the chakra forming a Rasengan, and walked toward the same tree he had sliced earlier, drew back his hand, screamed Rasengan, and slammed his hand into the tree, blowing it to pieces and causing the tree to fall backwards into the woods. The destructive force of that jutsu had caused Shino's glasses to fall off his face. And Naruto walked back over and said, "That was my father's jutsu. Pretty impressive, huh?" "That is very impressive, Naruto," Shino said, putting his glasses back on. "I can honestly say that nothing in my skills would come close to either of those jutsu. They're not that complicated, but it takes a lot of chakra control and power. I've always had a lot of chakra thanks to that. But I've also had very little control. I would have learned it a lot sooner if I hadn't had to work my control up from low genin to high chunin or low jounin. That is still an impressive increase," Shino said. "And I didn't detect any abnormal chakra from you. So that was all you, correct?" Naruto frowned and said, "Yeah, I guess you could say I finally grew up." Shino nods and says, "Well, I am honored to know you," as he lets a few bugs fly out of his coat sleeve toward the woods before walking over and moving a chair in the check-in station back against the wall and sat down. Much to Naruto's surprise, slouched down and set his feet on the desk. "What? Guard duty is still a pain and boring as hell. Might as well sit down if you can." "I will meditate," Shino said, seeing Naruto's eyebrows raise as he walked over and sat down. Naruto chuckled and said, "I guess you're right." Nothing was said until Naruto dispatched a Kagebunshin to get them both some ramen. During that time, only Anbu and 3 Jounin left the village. As the day came to an end, Shino said, "Thank you for not disturbing my meditation," before disappearing in a swarm of bugs. Naruto was relieved by another pair of chunin he didn't recognize, but one of them glared at him. As he returned to his apartment, he sighed and thought, "Well, at least I got some respect now." He took a shower, ate, and went to bed. Someone knocked on his door again the next morning. Waking him up, he jumped out of bed and opened the door, blinking as he saw who was standing there, and said, "Hello Sakura, what are you doing here?" Sakura blinked as she noticed the Chan missing from her name and asked, "Baka, why haven't you been at our team meeting spot?" Tenten returned to her team yesterday as Naruto had had enough and clamped his hand over her mouth and glared at her, causing her to freeze. Naruto said, "Look, I just got off guard duty at the main gate around midnight last night and I need to check in with the Hokage to see if I am still on Team 7. Now be a good girl and go bitch at the Sasuke team and Kakashi team." He stepped back before she could finish drawing her breath to scream and slammed the door in her face. Sakura huffed and stomped away for about 3 steps before stopping and thinking, "Wait, why would he not be on Team 7 and why would he have guard duty? Only Chun. No way. That Baka got chunin," said inner Sakura. Sakura returned her gaze to Naruto's door before sprinting toward Team 7's training grounds. Naruto quickly left his apartment after taking a shower and getting dressed, reloaded the senbons into his arm by following Eva's instructions, and traveled by rooftop until he reached the Hokage tower. When he arrived, he noticed several people running around, so he quickly crept over to the Hokage office and knocked on the door. He heard the Sandaime say enter, and Naruto opened the new doors from where he had blown the previous ones off. And the third was sitting near Tsunade, who was rubbing her temples as she looked up, glared, and asked, "What do you want, brat?" "Well, I had guard duty last night, and I came today to find out what happens now. Do I get a new team? Do I get to train with a Rosanin, or what?" Naruto said, "Didn't Jiraiya come tell you he was going to start your training?" Inquired the third. I haven't seen him since I left the other day," Naruto said. Tsunade clenched her fist. And Jiraiya spoke up, saying, "Relax, Haim. I was giving him a couple of days to rest before I started teaching him Kuchiyos no Jutsu." Tsunade saw Jiraiya come in through the window and said, "Hey Gaki, how was it?" Naruto blinked and inquired, "How was it? What are you talking about, Jiraiya?" Tsunade inquired. "From what I hear, Gaki over here got his cherry popped by a cute NBU named Yugao," Jiraiya said. Naruto widened his eyes and inquired, "Who told you that?" with a shite-eating grin on his face. The third asked, "Is it true, Naruto? I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't see where it's any of your concern, Jiji." Naruto said, "So I see your doctor did more than teach you about birds and bees. Must have been playing doctor as well." Tsunade smirked. Shizune, who was in the file room, screamed Tsunade as she exited. Tsunade burst out laughing when she saw Naruto and Shizune's red faces and said, "Relax, Shizune. I am sure you were very proper when teaching him. After all, why would you need to use mud clones?" Shizune flushed. And Naruto said, "Granny, please change your diaper because I'm sure with all the shit that's coming out of your mouth, it must have come out of your pants as well." Tsunade turned red with rage as everyone else began to laugh. She cracked her knuckles, trying to think of something to say while the Sandame held her shoulders. And Jiraiya grabbed Naruto while laughing and said, "Come on, Gaki. First we need you to sign the contract with the Toads, and then we have a mission to do. See you at the gate, Sensei." As they shushined away as the Sandame nodded, they appeared in Naruto's apartment. And Jiraiya unrolled a contract and said, "This is the Toad contract. Normally it would still be with the Toads, but I got it before I came to get you at the Hokage office." Naruto cut his finger, smearing blood across his fingers, after Eva released the armor on his hand and signed his name before placing his handprint above it. "All right, kid, prepare for about a month-long mission. Take this scroll and place whatever you feel you will need for that long in it by placing the item on the scroll and sending chakra into it. This is a mass storage scroll I made for you while you were having fun," Jiraiya said as he tossed a thick scroll to Naruto. Jiraiya said, "Don't worry. I'll be teaching you about seals while we're gone." Naruto caught it and opened the scroll, looking confused at the seals on it. "Where exactly are we going?" Naruto inquired. As he left in a swirl of leaves, Jiraiya said, "Suna, we are escorting Sensei and the children of the Lake Kazekage back to Suna to finish signing the new treaty. Now meet me at the main gate in 2 hours." Naruto sighed again as he looked around his apartment, thinking, "I don't have anything here I actually need besides my money. I still have that ugly orange jumpsuit in my closet besides what I am wearing ... Well, I could take a little of the food, but I don't know if it will last besides my ramen and a seal." Sakura was at Team 7's training grounds at the time, holding her left side of her face and crying as she looked down. Flashback, when Sakura arrived at the bridge where Team 7 met. She saw Sasuke and said, "Hey Sasuke-kun, guess what I just found out? Naruto got promoted to Chunin." With a little anger in his voice, Sasuke turned to her and asked, "What?" But Sakura had missed it. "Yeah, I went by his apartment this morning because Tenten told us yesterday that she was returning to her team because Neji's eyes were better now and that her sensei was back as well and that Kakashi sensei is actually on time now. Anyways, he was asleep and I started to yell at him when he told me he had guard duty at the main gate until midnight last night and he had to go see the Hokage to see it. Why was the dope promoted? He is the dead last idiot," clenched Sasuke's fist. "Perhaps it's because he beat Neji and Gaara when he turned into that monster. From what I hear," Sakura said, biting her lip. "How could the dope defeat both of them? I am stronger than him. And they promoted him while holding me back," clenched Sasuke's fist. "It could also be because he used that hidden mist jutsu. Or because he used an exploding clone. Or because he used those exploding senmons. Or because he leaned to fly," Sakura explained. Sasuke clenched his fist harder and harder as blood slowly began to flow from it. And when Sakura mentioned the last thing, Sasuke snapped and punched her right on the left side of her face, sending her flying as he screamed out in anger as the curse seal began to spread across his face, frightening Sakura, who had tears in her eyes as she held her face trying to scoot away from Sasuke, as he felt the power of the curse seal flow through him. Sasuke thought, "This village is holding me back. I need that power to kill my brother, just like this, just like he said they would do. They try to hold the power back from me to make me weak. I will learn what I can hear and then I will leave to learn to use this power and then I will find Itachi and kill him." After a few moments, Sakura noticed Sasuke's curse seal slowly receding. And he turned his back on Sakura and looked off the bridge. Finished the flashback, When Kakashi arrived at the bridge, he noticed Sakura holding her face and Sasuke with his back to her. And he asked, "Is everything okay?" As he saw Sakura flinch and Sasuke glare at her. "Teach me everything the dobe knows," Sasuke said to Kakashi. "You already copied the Kagebenshin with your sharing in Sasuke." Kakashi said, "I'm talking about all the things you taught him to make him chunin." Sasuke said, glaring at him. "So that's what's going on." Sasuke knows about Naruto and he must have hit Sakura, but unless she says something, I can't do anything about it because Sasuke can claim it was a sparring incident. Kakashi thought, and added, "I don't know what Naruto knows since I trained you, remember, and it was useless," Sasuke said. "Because the dobe can fly, use the hidden mist jutsu. Use senbons like that hunter Nin did, and also knows how to make exploding clones. Teach me how to do those. I don't know how to fly, Sasuke." "And I doubt Naruto can," said Kakashi. Sakura cut him off and said, "He can. I saw it myself at the stadium," flinching once more as both Sasuke and Kakashi glared at her, both wishing she would shut up for different reasons. "As for the hidden mist jutsu, you don't have the chakra control for it yet because you're a fire element. I don't know how to use senbons enough to teach you. And as for the exploding clones, you don't have the reserves for it," Kakashi said, pulling out his book. "How does the dobe have control and reserves for it?" Sasuke demanded. "Think about it, Sasuke. Naruto has always had larger reserves than you. The control he learned tree walking like you. And water walking, I figure. But after that I don't know because I don't know who taught him those things. Then where is the dobe?" "I will ask him myself," Sasuke said, turning his back and clenching his fist. "Quite a prodigy you have there, Kakashi. No wonder you turned your back on your other students for him," a voice said, causing Kakashi to flinch and the other two to look at a man walking up with white hair, red marks on his face, a huge scroll on his back, and a demon headband with the kanji for oil on it. "What can I do for you, Jiraiya-sama?" Kakashi inquired. Jiraiya said, "Oh, I just came to tell you that Naruto will no longer be coming to your team assignments anymore because I have taken him as my apprentice," which made Sakura's eyes widen and Sasuke clench his fist to the point where the bones began to snap. "I understand," Kakashi said. "I don't think you do, Kakashi. Do you have any idea what kind of prodigy you let slip through your fingers? Naruto has not only learned the Rasengan but also improved on it, creating a long-distance version of the racing. Don't you think Naruto is not mad?" Kakashi asked as he was sent flying by a punch to the face from Jiraiya, who appeared in front of Kakashi and delivered a kick to the ribs that grabbed his ribs as Jiraiya cold-cocked him in the side of the head over his good eye. Kakashi collapsed to the ground, clutching his stomach. "Don't even think about finishing that sentence. If you had used the brain behind that fucking eye you are so proud of, you would realize that he is not only more mentally mature than you could believe, but he is also smart enough to know when to use it and when not to. I am beginning to teach him Kuchiyos no Jutsu and I expect by the time he returns from our mission, he will be summoning Gambunta. Why the hell do you train the dobe? He is an idiot," Sasuke finally said. Jiraiya clenched his fist when he saw the bruise on Sakura's face and decided enough was enough as he walked over to Sasuke and punched him in the stomach, knocking the air out of him, before chopping Sasuke on the back of the neck. The pain from the punch in the face stopped Sakura from saying anything, and Jiraiya pulled out a bottle of ink as Kakashi stood up and asked, "What are you doing?" holding his stomach as he slowly stood up. "You're a disgrace, Kakashi. The boy here attacks his teammate and you do nothing about it. Let me guess. You thought as long as she didn't say anything, you wouldn't have to do anything right. Look at her, Kakashi. She's scared off him, as of right now, Kakashi. This boy has lost his bloodline," Jiraiya said as he finished the seal he was drawing and activated it, causing Sasuke to, as he walked over and noticed a seal beside each of Sasuke's eyes. Kakashi asked, "Is it permanent?" Jiraiya stated, "It is until I unseal it, and I won't until not only do I see that you have made a complete turnaround but also that he is punished correctly and nobody in this village except me can unseal it and the council or Tsunade Heim order me to release it won't work. Girl ... if I were you. You either need to quit being a ninja or find a teacher to teach you because Kakashi here is." Kakashi looked down at Sasuke and Sakura, who couldn't meet her teacher's gaze, and thought, "Am I really that bad of a sensei? Forgive me, is he right? Is Kakashi-sensei just going to let me die?" Sakura wondered. Later, Naruto was walking into the Wolf Claw when he noticed Dustin sitting behind the counter, who sat up as Naruto approached and asked, "What can I do for you today?" Naruto took a look around and inquired, "Is your daughter here?" "No. She's getting ready for a mission," Dustin said, looking at Naruto with narrowed eyes. Naruto said, I wanted to talk to you without anyone listening in. Why were you going to give me my order free the other day? I just want to say I am impressed with the way you have turned out. I mean the way you are willing to face the devil himself, kicking and screaming to show the world who you are. Dustin smirked. More than you know. Naruto thought and asked, is that the real reason? Not everyone is out to get you. Naruto, some people want to actually help you along the way. They may have their own reasons why. But there are some who do, and I am one of them. Thank you, Naruto said, biting his lower lip. Dustin smiled and inquired, so, what do you require today? I need some supplies. Hiro-san gave me this scroll and told me to pack for a month-long mission to Suna. This scroll is supposed to be able to hold several items, but I'm not really sure about it. I need supplies and to put them in this scroll. Naruto said, sounding perplexed. All right. I think I understand, Dustin said to Naruto. You want to get some supplies for this mission, but you don't know what you need or how to use that scroll, right? Yeah, I just have trouble understanding sealing for some reason. I know how to unseal stuff, but everything else about it confuses me, and I've never been to Suna before, so I'm not really sure what to expect on the mission. And I guess because I've never actually had money to buy correct supplies before. I don't know what I should pack, Naruto said. My late wife used to say the answer to any problem is to first understand what you have a problem with. Then you solve that problem. And then you go from there, Dustin said, as he considered what Dustin said. Naruto blinked and said, so if I know I have a problem with seals, then I should solve that problem. Yeah, but seals will take a while to learn, Dustin said. I can give you a book on basic sealing to help you learn. It's where I learned them. I'd like that. Naruto said with a smile. Good. Now how about we solve your other problem about getting your supplies for your mission? And what have you sealed so far? Dustin said. Naruto shrugged and said, nothing. Dustin's sweat dropped and he said, okay, what about your clothing? Well, I was wanting to get new clothes, Naruto explained. Dustin nods and says, well, I can help you with that. Anything specific you were looking for? I'm not sure. All I've ever been able to buy before were those orange jumpsuits. So I don't really know what to wear besides that. These were bought for me while I was recovering from injuries. Naruto said, what injuries? Dustin inquired. I sort of broke my left arm. Naruto said, scratching his head. Dustin thought, must have been the thrust cannon, wonder what happened to the safety shock absorbers, and said, I see. Well, it's good to see you're back to normal. So let's get you some cloths. As he put his hand to his chin and looked at Naruto before walking around the store grabbing a few things before putting them back and then going into the stockroom. When he returned, he handed Naruto a pile of clothes and said, the dressing room is over there near the number 1. Just go in and try them on and let me know if you like them or if they're the wrong size. Naruto nods and walks into the room, closing the door and thinking, Eva, can you drop the suit for a few minutes? As the suit fell, Naruto took off his clothes and slowly began to slip on the cloths. Eva said, yes. When he was finished, he looked in the mirror and thought, wow, this is cool. He had a pair of black ANBU pants, black combat boots, and a black modified Chunin, ANBU armor vest with multiple pockets for scrolls. Naruto blinked and rubbed his chest and thought, wonder how this was able to mold around the power cell so perfectly. It is almost like it was specifically made for me somehow. Dustin gave Naruto a nod before saying, you now have the appearance of a Chunin, Naruto. I went ahead and bought you 2 weeks worth of the same type of clothing with a few green, blue, and red accents, but there's something missing. I found it as he walked back into the back and emerged with something that made Naruto's eyes widen. Dustin stated, I figured you might want something to shield you from the elements a little. This should work, he said as he held up a black cloak with blue flames on the bottom and cuffs of the sleeves, as well as a hood that would cover the top of Naruto's head. Naruto reached for it slowly, saying, it looks so much like Yondiame's coat, except it's black instead of white. Well, hurry up and see if it fits. Dustin said, I can't believe how well this fits me. Naruto said as he slipped it on and pulled the hood up. What can I say? I have an eye for detail, Dustin explained. Naruto nods and inquires, how much? 0.14 changes of clothes, including the one you're wearing, plus 4 first aid kits. Ninja wire, 10 sets of shurikens and 10 sets of kunai, plus 10 more boxes of senbons just in case, Dustin said. Naruto was about to say something when Dustin interrupted, saying, oh, I forgot, look at the flames on your cloak sleeves. This caused Naruto to look at them. What about them? Naruto inquired. Inside the flames is a storage seal on each arm, because drawing weapons from your weapon pouches will take time that could cost you your life. I designed those for quick access for shurikens and kunais. You're right-handed, right? Dustin explained. Naruto nods, and Dustin says, good. Then store your kunais in your right sleeve and your shurikens in your left, like this. As he opens a box of shurikens and throws them into the flames, which go up in smoke. Amazing, Naruto. How do I unseal them? Naruto inquires. As he touched Naruto's forearm, Dustin said, just send chakra into your arm around here and one will unseal, before paying Dustin. Naruto nods and quickly loads all 10 boxes of shurikens and kunais into his sleeves. Dustin quickly grabbed the scroll Naruto brought in with him and quickly showed Naruto how to seal the cloths, the book on basic sealing, and the other items, and Naruto went into the changing room grabbing his old cloths, sealing them, and having Eva turn his armor back on under his cloak, and he walked back out and Dustin said, well, aside from getting some food and water, I think you're set. Will food spoil if it's sealed? Naruto wondered. No. A sealed item is frozen in time exactly as it was when it was sealed as long as the seal holding it was drawn correctly. Dustin explained. All right, that sounds good. I guess I should get going then, Naruto said as he began to walk away. Have you considered a melee weapon yet? Dustin inquired. Naruto paused, blinked, and inquired, what is a melee weapon? Like a sword, whip, scythe, club, or staff? Dustin explained. Remember, I have a scythe and a sword, if he has anything on either of them. Along with a staff, you should get it so you can learn to use them, Eva said. Do you have anything on a staff, scythe, or sword? Naruto inquired. Dustin nods as he walks into the back and emerges with 6 books, saying, I have 2 on each, so here you go, free. As he hands them to Naruto, Naruto took them, sealed them, and quickly left, saying, thank you again for everything. I have to get some food and only a little time to do it. Saya. Dustin smiled and said, good luck, kid. As Naruto entered a grocery store, a gruff voice said, get out of here. We don't want your kind in here, prompting Naruto to scowl at the man behind the counter before turning and leaving. He sat down on a bench outside the store after hearing Eva say, relax, Naruto. You can't change everyone just like that, but you've made a good start. Don't ruin it by trying to get revenge. Naruto closed his eyes and took a deep breath before exhaling. And when he opened his eyes, he saw a pale-eyed girl around 9 years old staring at him from about 3 inches in front of his face. Can I help you? Naruto asked as he leaned back. The girl tapped Naruto on the chest and inquired, why does my family taijutsu not work on you? Secret. Naruto said, why does my sister like you so much? The girl scowled. I don't see anything about you that should make her obsessed with you other than being immune to our family jutsu. Who is your sister? And who are you, little Hyuga? Naruto inquired. She is Hanabi-sama, sister to Hinata-sama, youngest daughter of Hayashi-sama. A voice Naruto recognized said, causing Naruto to look at Neji with a scowl on his face. So, did you ever apologize to Hinata for what you did to her? Naruto asked. Why should I? Neji asked. Because all she had to do to beat you in that match was activate your seal and she would have won. But she let you attack her. I think she wanted to make peace between you and her. Or maybe between the branch and main family. Naruto sighed, shaking his head. And what makes you think you know anything about the Hyuga family affairs? Neji asked, his eyes narrowing. Naruto stood up, causing Hanabi to move, and said, not much besides what I can see and hear. Of course it looks like I can see better than you can because I can see Hinata loves you. Too bad you're too much of an idiot to see it. Hope you take after your sister Firecracker, because if you follow the same path as him then all you're going to have is loneliness. Saya screwdriver. Hanabi blinked as she saw Naruto walk away and looked at Neji, who was red-faced, thinking strange. He shows no fear of Neji or me even after he finds out who I am. He is different. What in the world? Neji saw this and said, come Hanabi-sama. I must return you to the compound before I have to go to see the Hokage. As he turned and began to walk away, a shout of hey boss caught his attention a few moments before Naruto walked away. Naruto turned to see Konohamaru, Yuden, and Mogi approaching him and said, hey gang, what's up? As they came to a halt in front of him. Hey boss. I heard you made Chunin, Konohamaru said. Yeah, what's the big deal? Said Naruto. Looks like you're one step closer to being Hokage than I am. Konohamaru said, actually, I am 2 steps ahead of you. First, I graduated from the academy, and second, I am Chunin while you are still in the academy. Naruto said, putting his hand to his chin. No fair boss. Konohamaru grumbled, life is hardly fair. Konohamaru, if it were. A lot of people who died would still be alive, Naruto said, as he remembered Haku, Zabuza, and Hayate. That's no fun, boss. Konohamaru said, frowning. You need to think happy thoughts. Not sad ones, I know that, gang. I was just remembering a couple of people who are no longer here. Naruto said, smiling. Tell you what, guys. I don't have much time before I have to leave on another mission, but how about I teach you all something really cool? All three children's eyes widened and they began to jump around, attracting Hanabi's attention as they fled. After about 5 minutes, they were all four standing at the academy. And Naruto said, all right, gang, what I'm going to teach you is how to walk on trees. As he walked up the side of one of the trees, wide-eyed. That was so cool, boss. How did you do that? Said Mogi, as he jumped off. Naruto said, this is a chakra control exercise. What you have to do is channel chakra to your feet and use it to stick to the side. Too much and you blow off, too little and you fall off. This is an exercise that requires an exact amount of chakra. Use a kunai to mark how far you make it. Just watch, boss. I'll learn this and catch up to you soon, Konohamaru said, as he turned to leave. Naruto smiled and said, I hope so, Konohamaru. I hope so. Look, I just remembered I have one more place to go before I need to leave. So take care of each other and I will see you when I get back. Saya, alright, gang. Let's show the boss we can do this by the time he gets back from his mission, Konohamaru said as he gathered chakra and ran at the tree. Only to fall off. Naruto took about 10 minutes to get to his destination. And he looked around and thought, this is the right place, Eva. Yes, Eva replied. Naruto nods and walks over to the door. Knocking. A few moments later, the door opened and Yuugo appeared in the door frame, saying, well, hello again. Naruto, come to rob my panties again. No. Naruto exclaimed, I just wanted to tell you that I have a month-long mission to Suna and you wanted to tell me so I wouldn't worry about you. Yuugo smirked as he felt a finger on his lips. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and said, well, not in so many words. But I just didn't want you to think I was avoiding you and he blinked and asked, Eva, did you just drop the helmet? But received no response. Yuugo smirked as she felt actual flesh and saw the look of confusion on his face and said, looks like you got sold out. As she pulled her hand back and stepped forward as she put her arms around Naruto's shoulder and said, why did you come here, Naruto? I mean, you could have left without telling me and I wouldn't have gotten mad. So why did you come here? As he looked into her eyes, Naruto swallowed and said, I think I understand. You take care of yourself, Naruto. I know we were supposed to be Suna's allies again, but one of them killed Hayate. He was killed with a wind jutsu. You come back alive and I will be glad to see you return. Yuugo said, when Yuugo pulled Naruto into a hug and said be careful, as she stepped back and closed the door. Naruto smiled a little and said, thanks, I guess I better get going. Saya, Naruto smiled as he walked away. Inside Yuugo's house, she entered her front room and saw Kurenai, who asked, so, what's up? Oh, it was Naruto. Yuugo said, he came by to tell me he had a mission and wouldn't be back for a while. Kurenai gave her a stern look and said, really, sounds like something someone in love would do. Yuugo sat down and took a sip of her tea, deep in thought, saying, or someone who wants someone to be glad they came back alive. I think he wanted to make sure that I didn't feel alone again. Kurenai inquired, but why you? For someone you claim you didn't do anything with. Sure seems friendly. Yuugo shrugged and said, you are reading too much into it, Kurenai. All he is to me is a friend, something I have needed a lot lately. Kurenai sighed and said, all right, I believe you, but I wanted to make sure you didn't get hurt again. He's 7 years younger than you. And you're still recovering from Hayate. I don't want to see you using him as a rebound because you both deserve better. Well, if you don't mind, Kurenai. I've got patrol tonight and I need a few hours of sleep, Yuugo says. Nodding, Kurenai nods and quickly leaves. And Yuugo sighed as she walked toward her bedroom, listening to the silence and thinking. It could also be because he knows the pain of being alone, something I am getting to know very well. When Naruto arrived at the main gate, he saw Sandaime and Jiraiya standing there, as well as Tenten, who was glaring at Temari, who was smirking, and Jiraiya said, Agaki, I see you could make it and only 5 minutes late. Sorry. I had to buy new supplies and, said Naruto, looks like you got them from my dad's shop, and I recognize the cloak you're wearing as one dad's been working on recently. Tenten said. The third person took a look at it and said, interesting design. Naruto, yeah, I think it's sort of nostalgic. Naruto said, cutting his gaze from Jiraiya. Very. Reminds me of my last student in some ways. Jiraiya said, now, if you don't mind, I think we should get going, don't you, sensei? Yes. We need to get these 3 back home, said the Sandaime. Tenten asked, still staring at the smirking Temari. What exactly am I here for? You're here because you're on the same team as Naruto. Sandaime said, widening both eyes. Wait a minute. Why is she on my team when she's already on Super Fuzzy Brow's team? Said Naruto. Currently, we have 2 genin teams that are unable to do missions, Team 7 and Team 9. When you were removed from Team 7 due to your advancement and being selected as Jiraiya's new apprentice, I suggested to Tsunade that Neji be placed as the 3rd member of Team 7 as their scout, the position that you previously held because of your Kagebenshin, even though you are Jiraiya apprentice. He won't be your full-time sensei, but what about Lee? He's like a son to Guy. Naruto inquired. Jiraiya sighed. Odds are, Naruto, Lee will never be able to resume duty again. He is nearly as bad of shape as you were. And you nearly died because of your arm. All 4 genin were wide-eyed. Tenten frowned and inquired, well, if he and I are on the same team, who will be our 3rd member? You will learn later. We must go. The Sandaime said as he began to walk out the gates, ignoring Naruto and Tenten's questions. Tenten sighed as she approached Naruto and raised her hand, saying, it's a pleasure to be teamed up with you. She shook Naruto's hand and blinked, narrowing her eyes at how his hand felt. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Naruto said. Temari grumbled, damn it. All this tree-hugging nonsense is getting on my nerves. Can we go so I can get my fan back? Gaara walked over and, much to his siblings' surprise, extended his hand and said, it's good to see you again. Naruto, how you doing, Gaara? Naruto asked as he shook his hand. I'm sleeping well because of you, Gaara said. What are friends for? Said Naruto. Temari shook her head as Naruto began to walk out the gates. And Gaara began to walk behind Naruto. And Tenten quickly walked up to catch Naruto and set pace beside him. And Temari and Kankuro began to walk behind them, with Jiraiya following. Another meeting was taking place in the Hokage office as they were leaving the gates. When Team 7 entered the office, Neji was already there, and Tsunade saw Kakashi and said, so this is Team 7. Now I am sure you noticed that you are currently short 1 member and ... What is your problem, Uchi? Release my Sharingan, Sasuke demanded, turning to face her. Tsunade blinked and turned to face Kakashi, who explained, Jiraiya-sama sealed off his Sharingan earlier. Tsunade widened her eyes and inquired, and why did he do that? Because he, said Sasuke, because Jiraiya-sama did not approve of the way Sasuke interacts with his other teammate. Kakashi interrupted, causing Tsunade to look at Sakura and notice the bruise on Sakura's face. Tsunade inquired, I assume the bruise on her face is what you're referring to, and that it was not caused by a spar. No, it wasn't. She just doesn't know when to shut up to her superiors, Sasuke said, causing Sakura to flinch and look down and Kakashi to think, oh shit. Tsunade released a small amount of Kai on Sasuke and said, first, your attitude is most disturbing, and I find your lack of support in your teammate appalling. You will show me the proper respect, GNNIN, or I will seal off your chakra as well as your bloodline. Sasuke screamed, you can't do that. You senile bitch. Tsunade released a massive amount of Kai on Sasuke, causing Sakura and Neji to freeze, while Kakashi was sweating and thinking, oh god, we're all dead. All I wanted was to do things at my own pace, read my book, and enjoy life. Tsunade stood up from her desk and grabbed Sasuke by the neck, lifting him off the floor and saying, now you little pissant, I don't like you and I don't care who your family was. As far as I am concerned, the only good Uchiha is a dead one. This made everyone wide-eyed. Tsunade continued, your clan has been nothing but a headache for years. And to tell the truth, when I heard about your clan massacre, I bought the entire bar a round of drinks. Hell, if it was in my power, I would have Itachi given complete pardon and a hero welcome back to Konoha for doing such a great deed. Now you will mind your place, follow orders, or I will send you to join the rest of your clan, Kakashi. I expect the next time you bring your students into my office, they show the proper respect, or it will be you receiving their punishment, she said as she returned to her seat. Neji Hyuga, you are now a member of Team 7 replacing Naruto Uzumaki. Neji smirked as he watched Sasuke get owned and said, I understand Hokage-sama. What about Naruto? Sakura inquired. Tsunade asked, Naruto has been taken as the official apprentice of Jiraiya when he is in town and will be on Team 9 under Guy along with Tenten and another. Now I have a question for you. I know your sensei failed at teaching Naruto, so what has he taught you? Causing Kakashi to flinch and look down. What do you mean Kakashi's sensei failed Naruto? He taught him tree climbing like he did me and Sasuke. Sakura inquired. Is that all he taught you, Sakura? Tsunade inquired. Sakura looked perplexed and said, well, yeah, why? Tsunade glared at Kakashi and said, Sakura, did you know that your sensei's own words about putting you in the Chunin exams was that he only put you in them to gain experience and to let Sasuke become a Chunin? He never expected either you or Naruto to pass the exams, and when Naruto did, Kakashi turned his back on Naruto and told him he wasn't worth his time. If nothing else, he was worth more of your time than the Uchiha. After all, he was able to defeat me, Neji reasoned. Sakura asked quietly. Is that true, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi sighed and nodded. And Sakura looked down, remembering Jiraiya's words, and looked at Tsunade, asking Hokage-sama, I don't have any skills besides having perfect chakra control and the 3 Academy Jutsu. I would like to ask permission to become your apprentice. This caused Kakashi to turn and look at her shock. And he looked down after that, thinking I really have failed as Tsunade looked at Sakura and said, Shizune, which opened the door to the side of the room and allowed Shizune to exit. Yes, Tsunade-sama, Shizune inquired. I want you to get a copy of the first 10 books that I had you study when I took you as my apprentice and give them to Sakura here when you get them ready, when she has memorized them. I want you to test her on her knowledge, if she can learn them all and pass your test, as well as learn 3 medical jutsu that all field medics know. I will consider letting her become a medic nin, Tsunade said. Hello, Tsunade-sama. I can have it by tomorrow, Shizune said. Sakura, wide-eyed, inquired. Does that mean you'll teach me? Shizune looked at Tsunade. And Tsunade said, perhaps, but only if you truly impress me. After all, Shizune here is my only apprentice so far, and she will always be my top priority because she is one of my precious people. Which made Shizune smile. Realizing she was referring to Naruto, I will master Tsunade, Sakura said, making everyone blink. Tsunade inquired, Master, I like the sound of that ... Now the mission Team 7 has washing the Hokage monument. The fires from the invasion deposited large amounts of ash on the monument faces, and I don't want them complaining about hazard pay from the ash, so you are to wash the monument ... As for you, Uchiha, you are responsible for 5D rank missions a week by yourself as punishment for your failure of the invasion. Tsunade ignored the snicker and said, You're all dismissed. Sakura bowed and began to walk toward the door, saying, Hi, Master Tsunade. Everyone walked in silence for the next 4 hours until they came to a fork in the road, at which point Naruto stopped while the others continued walking. Jiraiya stopped in front of Naruto and asked, Is something wrong, Gaki? Drawing everyone's attention, the Sandaime returned Naruto's gaze, noticing Naruto's distant expression. Boy, what's your problem? We're all going this way, Temari said as Naruto continued to look down the road and asked, Hey Jiji ... How long does it take to get to Suna from here? It's 2 days of hard travel from here if we went full out all the way, said the Sandaime. As he looked at the Sandaime, Naruto asked, Do we have a set day to be in Suna? We have to be there in 10 days, said the Sandaime. I just remembered that Konoha still has to collect the extra cash for the mission Team 7 did in Wave that was upgraded. It's only a half-day travel from here and we could get a warm bed and hot meal for tonight. And we could leave tomorrow with only about a half-day extra travel if we go by trees. Naruto said, That may be true, but we have the 3 Suna shinobi here to think about. And they want to go home. So unless you have a good reason to head that way or they agree to it, I don't see any reason to make the trip there right now. I see, Naruto said, frowning. What is so important that you wish to go to Wave, Naruto? It's not like you to ask for something unless you have a very good reason, the Sandaime inquired, as he began to walk towards Suna. Naruto bit his lip and said, There is a private matter I need to take care of there. I apologize for stalling everyone. Everyone turned to look at him. And Sandaime inquired, What is the private matter you need to go there for? There was something special I ordered there that should be done now, and I was going to come back after the exam to get it, but with everything that went down, I haven't had a chance, and I'm worried that when we come back in a month, it might not still be there, Naruto said. Jiraiya rubbed his right arm, where Naruto's arm had broken, and asked, Does it have anything to do with that? No, it's just something I needed to order because of what happened on Team 7's mission to Wave. Naruto explained. Do any of you have a problem with making a small detour? The Sandaime asked, frowning and looking at the Suna siblings in a pleading tone. Naruto said, if it helps, I am willing to pay you each $500 for the day of wasted time. And with the way Wave has recovered, I am sure you all might be able to find something there you like. Tenten said. I don't see a problem with it, as she looked at Naruto's pleading expression. Gaara saw the expression and said, we will do it, to which Temari replied, Gaara, you can't do that. I mean we. Gaara interrupted her and said, please Temari, he is one of my precious people. If it weren't for him, I would still be unable to sleep and Shukaku would be able to attack and kill you. Temari's eyes softened as she looked at Gaara. Tenten inquired, who is Shukaku, causing everyone to frown. Shukaku is the Ikabai no Shukaku, the one-tailed demon, the weakest of the Biju. And it was sealed into me by order of my father to make me a super weapon for Suna. Gaara explained. Tenten began to speak when Naruto inquired, Tenten, is a kunai sealed in a scroll the same as the scroll? Of course not, Tenten said, blinking. Gaara is the scroll. Shukaku is the kunai, Naruto explained. Tenten looked at him and said, I already knew that. I use sealing a lot, so I understand the difference. But I was wondering why Shukaku could get free before but not now. Based on what everyone was saying, before the invasion, Gaara had a weak seal with a berserker seal on top of it, making him unstable and preventing him from sleeping unless the demon took control of him. After the invasion, I put a new seal on him and it made it so Gaara can sleep without worrying about the demon, Jiraiya explained. How were they able to seal a demon into Gaara? And what effect did it have on you other than being able to take over your body? Tenten inquired. Shukaku was sealed into me while I was still inside my mother, and it cost her life. Gaara explained. Aside from not being able to sleep, I have larger chakra reserves than a normal person, along with my ability to control sand and my automatic defense that protects me. But why did they seal it into you before you were born? Why not put it in an adult? Tenten inquired. An adult's chakra coils are already developed and cannot handle the strain of having the demon's chakra put into his or her coils, releasing the demon back into the world, killing the adult. The only way to successfully seal a demon is to seal it into an infant who is either about to be born or only a few hours old, so that as the child grows up the coils would adjust and release the demon. Tenten inquired. Wasn't that sand creature you transformed into during the invasion Shukaku? Gaara nods and looks at Naruto, asking, how do you know so much about it? Naruto, and how were you able to defeat a demon? The Yondaime did it, but it cost him his life. And he was the Hokage. You were a genin ... And what did you mean when you said that when Kyuubi met you, it was fucked during the exams? As he resumed his walk, Naruto sighed and said, my birthday is the same as your name, figure it out. Tenten blinked and thought, Tenten, October 10th. Her eyes widened as she realized that was the day Kyuubi attacked. And she inquired, so you're like Gaara. The Sandaime closed his eyes and said, Jinchuriki, the power of a human sacrifice. That is what those who have a demon sealed into them are called. Gaara here was turned into one to make him a weapon. Naruto here was chosen to save our village by the Yondaime. There were those who wanted to turn Naruto into a weapon like other villages such as Suna. I refused to do that and I wanted him to have his normal. As he began to walk towards Suna, Naruto said, let's just go Jiji. You don't have to explain your actions or the actions of others because it won't matter. You should know that by now, people will believe what they want. I have come to terms that I am nothing more than a sacrificial lamb who pays for all those who were hurt or died by the actions of who or what is a part of me. Tenten thought to himself as the Sandaime looked at Naruto. That's almost what Dad said about Eva. Flashback. Dustin nods and says, good. I hate to tell you this, but you can't tell anyone about what you saw. If ... if people find out about my connection to Eva and what she represents, people will come for me and will use you to get to me. Eva. What Eva represents is my sins. What your mother and I created was something we wanted to help save people ... but in the end it ended up destroying hundreds of lives in a country. Final flashback. Tenten pondered. Could Naruto be the sacrifice he used? And if so, what connections does he have to Eva? He was there right before Eva appeared. Tenten looked at Naruto, thinking, his hands ... they felt like metal. Temari bit her lip as Kankuro placed his hand on her shoulder and whispered, let's do it, sis. The past few weeks have been great not having to worry about being killed by being close to our brother. He actually asked in his own way and is trying. I know I want to go home as well, but a day isn't really that long. Temari sighed and said loudly, fine, but you have to pay us like you said. And you had better be right about a hot meal and a soft bed. As he ran back the 100 feet he had made it down the road to Suna and began to go down the road toward Wave. Naruto smiled and said, I am, just you wait. Come on, let's go. The Sandaime looked at Jiraiya as the group began to follow Naruto down the road. And Jiraiya nodded as he began to follow the group. After a few hours, the group arrived at the Great Naruto Bridge, and everyone's eyes were wide, except Naruto's. And Kankuro asked, What the hell? Why is this bridge named after you? As he started across the bridge, Naruto looked back sadly and said, Because this is where my innocence died. Everyone seemed perplexed about this, including the Sandaime, who thought, Damn you, Kakashi. If you had been a true sensei to all your students and not shown favoritism in your reports, I would know what he is talking about. As the group followed Naruto across the bridge and into town, they noticed that a swarm of children ran up to him, screaming for him to pick them up and play with them. Adults were nodding toward him, smiling and giving small bows, and several girls were blushing as they looked at him. When Jiraiya saw Naruto relax around the people here, he said, Sensei ... This is how he should have been seen in Konoha. If this is how they see him, then someday he may come here to live if Konoha does not change. Consequences be damned, the Sandaime reflected, as the kids tugged at his pants and yelled his name. Naruto smiled and said, Hey everyone, tell you what, if I show you all a cool trick, would you all let me in my company through? It's been a long journey, and I have a lot to do in a short amount of time. As they got excited, several of the kids said, Yeah. Naruto nods and leaps into the air, beginning to float, surprising Kankuro, Temari, and Tenten, who had missed seeing him fly due to the fighting. But we already saw you fly, several of the kids exclaimed. Naruto closed his eyes and held his left hand above his head, and all the ninja tensed as they felt chakra begin to gather in his left hand but could only barely see the blue glow. And then Naruto raised his right hand and jerked it a second before a blue ball of chakra shot out of his left hand. An explosion rocked the sky around 100 feet up, followed by 9 others, and the kids screamed fireworks. Naruto landed slowly on the ground and said, See? Neat trick, huh? As the kids all cheered and began to return to their parents, who clapped and listened to their children cheer. When the crowd had dispersed, Naruto's smile faded slightly and he began to walk away, saying, All right, sorry about the wait, I will show you all to where we can stay the night. What is he? Bipolar. He goes from happy and excited to sad and depressed at the drop of a hat, Temari inquired, as he began to follow Naruto. Sandaime sighed and said, It's because he let his emotional mask drop. What you all saw was probably something he has hardly ever shown anyone. The real him, not the happy-go-lucky idiot who screams for attention like you all saw in the exams. As he followed the group, Jiraiya thought, That's also how his mother was. She carried her emotions on her sleeves. They soon arrived at a 2-story house, and Naruto approached the door and knocked. When the door opened, Tsunami appeared and her eyes brightened and she said Naruto, as she pulled him into a hug, and he smiled as he hugged her back and said hello Tsunami. How are you doing? Tsunami let go and kissed his head, eliciting a confused look from him as he felt the kiss. And he said, I've been good. I got promoted like I said I would. Congratulations. Come on in and ... Who are all these people? Naruto, Tsunami said. Oh, let me introduce you. This is my new teammate Tenten, my part-time sensei Jiraiya, the Sandaime Hokage of Konoha, and this is our diplomatic escort to Suna Temari, Kankuro, and Gaara. Well, it's a pleasure to have such an honored group here. And normally I would let you all stay here, but the K's Nami Inn just opened 2 weeks ago, and I figure you'd want your guests to stay there, right? Tsunami said. Naruto ignored the stunned expressions on everyone's faces and said, Yeah, but I still don't understand why you're all doing that for me. Because you turned down the job of being the feudal lord here in Wave, forcing me to take the job, you blonde baka. A voice said, bringing a smile to Naruto's face. The Sandaime asked as he recognized the newcomer. What do you mean, feudal lord Tazuna, and it is good to see you again. Exactly what I mean. After Gato was killed, the people here ran the old feudal lord out of the country, vowing to kill him if he ever returned because he sold us out to Gato. When the kid here came back to Wave, the people here asked him to be our new feudal lord because he was the hero of the country. He said he did not think he was old and wise enough to do the job. So he asked that the real hero, why did you turn down the offer? Naruto, that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Tenten inquired. Now, you old drunk bastard. What the hell is this K's Nami crap I was just hearing about, and I thought I was going to be a silent partner? Not owner? Naruto said. Well, the inn, as you know, was originally used for Gato's slave prostitution ring, and when you were here during those 3 weeks and took out those men who were still running it, freeing those girls, it just felt like the right payment to give you the building, so after remodeling it and hiring a few of the girls who stayed and offered to work there in exchange for room and board since they didn't have anywhere to go after Gato killed their families, we all felt it was the right payment to give you the building. As he stared at Tazuna, Naruto sighed and said, "And the name?" "Oh, that, well, there are 2 reasons for that. One is that you are the wind of change for the land of Wave. And you already know the second." As he began to rub his temples, Naruto said, must not kill drunk. I take it they know about that, Naruto." Sandaime said, as he looked at Tazuna. Naruto said, "They know part but not all, and drop it. So would you mind setting all these people here in a couple of rooms? I still need to see someone before it gets dark." "Sure, after all, it is my duty as the feudal lord to welcome as many diplomats as possible. Please follow me and I will show you to the inn where you can stay." Tazuna replied. "What about our money?" Temari inquired. Naruto came to a halt, turned his right arm away from everyone, pulled out his wallet, counted out the cash, and handed it to them all, and Jiraiya asked, "Where are you going, Gaki? You know it's not safe for." As he took off toward the town, Naruto said, "Around and don't go there. I've been taking care of myself since I was 4. If anything happens, follow the explosions." Tenten inquired. "Where is he going?" Tazuna sighed and said, "He's going to the shrine," drawing everyone's attention to him. "What do you mean?" "We came all this way so he could go to some shrine," Temari inquired. "Forgive my father. The shrine is the name the people of Wave have given to the graves of the 2 missing nins Naruto team fought to save our country. In the end, they both died to save our country, so we honor them for that, but for Naruto it's personal. I don't know the exact details because I respect his privacy, but something happened between the boy Haku and Naruto." Tsunami said. Tenten blinked, recalling what she had read. And the Sandaime inquired. Naruto mentioned something about losing his innocence on the bridge. "Do you know what he was talking about?" "No, I don't. Sorry," Tsunami replied. The Sandaime nods, and Jiraiya inquires, "Where is this shrine so we can get there faster if he gets into trouble?" "Did you notice the cliff about a mile south of the bridge when you were crossing it?" Tsunami asked, drawing a nod from everyone. "It is at the top of the cliff." Jiraiya nods and says, "Well, let's go get checked in so we can eat and maybe I can do some research." As he begins to follow Tazuna was followed for about 10 minutes until they arrived at a 4-story inn with a blue-black sloped roof, 60 windows, the top half painted sky blue and the bottom half painted sea blue with the 2 blending together in the middle, and a gold plaque with the name K's Nami Inn on the front. "So Naruto owns this place." "Looks nice," Tenten said. As he glared at the Sandaime, Tazuna said, "Yeah. The people of Wave love Naruto ... even after we learn what he has in him." The group came to a halt, and the Sandaime inquired, "Did Naruto tell you about that? The ninja you sent here with the adjusted price for the mission asked why we chose a demon like him as our village hero. When we defended him and asked why he called Naruto a demon, he told us about the Q by being inside him. When Naruto came here, a child asked him, and Naruto said it was true and started to leave. But the people here told him we still saw him as our hero and even modded him." The Sandaime shook his head and said, "I'll check to see who I sent here. And he'll be spending time with Ibiki and Anko both." "Don't. Naruto already defended your village and said only a few saw him that way." "Not everyone. I don't know why he would protect your village by lying. But we won't dishonor him or his sacrifice now. Please follow me," Tazuna said as he walked inside to the reception desk, and Temari and Tenten were both shocked to see a girl the same age as them behind the counter, remembering hearing about slave prostitution, and for a moment both girls. "Hello Isis, how are you today?" Tazuna asked. "I am doing well, Tazuna-sama," Isis said. "How are you today, and who is our honored guest?" "This is a few honored guests traveling with Naruto," Tazuna explained, with an excited expression on her face. Isis exclaimed, "Naruto-sama is here? Where is he? I want to see him again after he freed me from Gato and his men." "He's gone to the shrine, Isis. But you can check in his guest," Tazuna said, as she turned the registry around for them to sign. Isis said, "Of course, please sign the guest list and the rooms will be on the house for the night since you're with Naruto-sama," Tenten asked. As the group signed the list, "What should we do now?" "Sandaime-sama, since the sign says 2 hours until dinner, I guess since you all have your room key, you can do whatever you want until then. But please leave your hiat in your pocket so people don't suspect you of being ninja and we don't get accused of being idiots like a certain people," the Sandaime said. With distaste in his voice, Tenten watched as Sandaime and Jiraiya ascended the stairs. Then turned to see the three Sand siblings looking at each other and shook her head before turning and leaving the inn. Naruto walked through town for about 10 minutes after leaving the group until he found the shop he was looking for and walked in. "Oh, hello, Naruto-sama. What can I do for you today?" said the man behind the counter. "I was wondering if that order was ready." Naruto said, "Yeah, but do you have the money?" says the man, nodding. Naruto took out his wallet and handed the man $5,000 while the man took out a scroll and asked, "Do you know how to unseal items?" "Yeah." Naruto replied, "Good. Then just make sure that scroll is in the center of where you want to set it because it will unseal 10 seconds after you drop blood on the seal and it will be next to impossible to move again." "Got it," the man said. As Naruto turned to leave, he nodded and said, "Thank you." When Naruto arrived at the graves of Zabuza and Haku, he closed his eyes for a moment before hearing a voice ask, "So it was Zabuza Mamachi that Team 7 encountered on your mission here? I thought that was just a rumor." This prompted Naruto to turn and look at Tenten, who walked out of the woods. "What are you doing here?" Naruto inquired. Tenten said, "I'm a weapon master who respects other weapon users. I heard the rumor that Zabuza had died and I wanted to see if the rumors were true. And since I recognized Zabuza's famous head-chopping cleaver, I can see it is true. They were as you can. So if you don't mind, please leave." Naruto frowned. "I also wanted to see the grave of the so-called hero claimed by Naruto Uzumaki on a tree in Konoha who goes by the name Haku Mamachi," Tenten said, crossing her arms as he turned away from the grave. Naruto's eyes widened and he said, "So you found that? Huh, would you like to talk about it?" Tenten inquired as she approached, in an accusing tone. Naruto asked, "Why are you really here? You're my teammate, and you look like you're hurting. And I want to help, so why are you so defensive?" Tenten said. Naruto ignored her question and walked over to where the sword of Zabuza and the cross with Haku mask were, removing both from the ground and setting the scroll on the ground where they had been before he opened it and unsealed his hand, cutting his finger with his thumb's nail and letting some blood hit the seal. A few seconds later, a puff of smoke covered where the scroll had been, and there stood a marble platform with a statue that looked exactly like Haku and Zabuza stood. And Naruto looked at both sadly as he took Zabuza's sword and placed it on a slot on his back, and the sword clicked when it got into position to look like he was caring for it. And he took Haku's broken mask, and he looked at the mask and said, "I broke this." Tenten sat down on a rock and inquired, "What happened on the bridge? You said you lost your innocence there. But I'm not sure what you mean. Why are you putting in so much effort for the dead? Some call that bridge the Bridge of Destiny as well as the Bridge of Heroes. I call that bridge the Bridge of Lost Innocence. On it, for the first time in my life, I faced true evil. Evil that wanted nothing more than to stick its hands through the chest of its enemy and pull the heart out while it was still beating. Evil that was so powerful that it could and would have destroyed everything in its path. And that evil was in my own." Tenten inquired, "So you met the Kyuubi in some way?" Naruto shook his head no and said, "No. There on the bridge for a moment the mask hunter Nen, who was Zabuza's partner, had used me as bait to get Sasuke to defend me so he could be taken out, and it worked. Sasuke took what appeared to be a fatal strike to save me. It was the second time that someone took a strike to protect me because I was too weak. Sasuke died in my arms and I felt no." Tenten inquired, "What happened?" She appeared concerned and a little scared. Naruto stood up, closed his eyes, and touched the mask on Haku's face, saying, "Like this mask, I was broken inside. When I saw Haku's face, I fought myself to regain control of my body. I heard the whispering asking, why do I resist now? When it could have been me, they're dead, and I fought against the whispering thinking it was Kyuubi I was going against. It wasn't. It was the part of me I always denied listening to. The part who always wanted to hurt those who hurt me. Unfortunately, all of this realization came at a high cost. Haku told me why he was there and why he had nothing left to live for since I destroyed him in battle, rendering him useless as a tool to Zabuza. He asked me to kill him and stain my hands with his blood. It was to be the last request from my first true friend. I went to fulfill it, but he had one last duty to Zabuza and shushined away and took a Chidori Fr. So that is why you put so much effort into honoring their memory, to punish yourself for what happened that day." Tenten said sadly to Naruto, "I am a sacrifice. It is my responsibility to be the one who suffers, not the one who causes suffering," Naruto explained. Tenten got up and went to slap him in the face when Naruto heard Eva scream a warning in his head and grabbed Tenten by the side and leapt back as she screamed, "What the hell are you doing?" before an explosion hit where they had been standing as Naruto landed and took a defensive stance in front of her and said, "Hello, Sushi. Where is your partner?" As he began to look around and curse himself as he saw where. Tenten turned and paled as she saw Kasama and recognized him as a member of the Seven Swordsmen as he stood there where they had been moments before withdrawing his sword from the ground as she also began to look around and thought, shit, we are trapped on the ledge here. I can tree walk down the side but I don't know if he can, but Naruto seems to know him and he asked about a partner. Not good. Well, what have we here? I came to pay my respects to my old buddy Zabuza and I find the Kyuubi and his girlfriend. Tell you what, you come nice and easy and I let her go. Kasama said, as his eyes darted around looking for Itachi. Naruto asked, and Uchiha Itachi is just going to let her go as well. Tenten paled again as she recognized that name, as he prepared to attack. Kasama smirked and said, Itachi not here right now. He's got his Pocky addiction to feed right now near the border of Wind and Fire Country. Imagine his surprise when he finds out I already captured our target. Did you find him anywhere, Eva? Thought Naruto. No, it appears he is telling the truth and is alone. Eva replied, I don't think she has any weapons. I need to lead him away from her. Naruto thought as he quickly devised a plan in his head. You think you can beat me, Kasama? You're nothing without Itachi to save you and your sword. Remember, I put both of you on the ground the last time. You surprised me last time, but this time you have nowhere to run. And your girlfriend here also needs protecting, Kasama said. I'm not his girlfriend, and I don't need to be protected, Tenten explained. For once. Shut up and listen to your superiors. You're always going around unarmed unless you're expecting battle. You've been warned before about it, but this time it will cost you. You need to think more like me and seal your weapons in your cloths like I do. In my sleeves I have hundreds of kunais in one sleeve and shurikens in the other, and all I have to do is send chakra into the arms like this. Kasama charged toward Naruto, who deflected both weapons, but that was all the time Naruto needed to throw the cloak off his shoulders, and gravity pulled it off his arms as he charged forward to meet Kasama, letting it hit the ground. Kasama saw Naruto charging toward him and swiped his sword from the side at Naruto, who deflected it with his left arm, raising his right arm, and 3 senbons launched out of it toward Kasama, who dodged to the side, allowing them to fly by and explode on a tree behind him. Shit, Naruto said as he ducked under the next swipe from Kasama, who laughed and said, Oh ... did your little senbon trick fail this time? I saw it enough last time to know you have some kind of senbon launcher on your right arm, as he brought an overhead slice down toward Naruto's head, who crossed his arms above his head making an X, and Kasama said, Wrong move, kid, Simhata Dosen. Tenten used the opportunity to unleash a barrage of kunais and shurikens she had unsealed from the Naruto cloak she had put on, and Kasama jumped back and began to deflect them as he charged toward her, saying, Should have stayed out of it, girly. Now I am going to kill you, as Naruto charged to intercept Kasama. He thought to himself, Eva, drop the weights. Kasama saw this and changed his attack from Tenten, who was back completely on the edge, to Naruto, who was going full speed, and he sliced Simhata across Naruto's stomach, making the sound of metal on metal as small pieces of metal flew into the air. Kasama blinked, looking at Naruto, and said, What the hell? You're not losing chakra to Simhata. And now every time I attack you, there's some kind of armor protecting your body that I can't see. It stinks for you that I know the secret to chakra metal, Naruto said, looking at Tenten and asking, You okay, Tenten? Yeah, but I don't have much room to fight. And it appears that I have the same problem I had with Temari here, Tenten said. Naruto frowned and began to inquire, Can you sorry kiddas? Not this time, Kasama said as he began to flash through hand signs, and a water dragon appeared and charged toward Naruto and Tenten. Tenten screamed as she saw it coming, with no way to escape, and Naruto turned and grabbed her, leaping into the air and carrying her as he flew over the dragon's head. He landed on a tree away from the edge of the cliff and sat her down, only to hear Eva say, Behind you. Naruto turned, raising both arms to block another strike from Kasama. Unfortunately, it grazed Tenten's right arm, shredding some of her shirt, his cloak, and her arm slightly, causing her to scream in pain before he could deflect it. Naruto gritted his teeth as he kicked Kasama in the side, knocking him off the tree, and charged toward Kasama, forcing him to jump back as he ducked under another slash from Kasama. Yeah, but give me a minute if you can, Tenten said as she wrapped her arm to stop the bleeding. Get out of here and get help, Naruto said as Simhata fell to the ground in front of him. Tenten raised her head as she finished the last knot and said, No, you're not going to last long. Naruto frowned and considered status Eva. Damage to both arms from blocking those attacks has made using the Senbon launcher and the thrust cannon currently impossible. Eva explained, and damage to the stomach prevents prolonged flight. 10 seconds burst at best currently unless you want to risk damaging the chest plate. Kasama noticed Naruto standing there, looking at Tenten, who had unlocked more weapons but were still waiting. And Naruto thought, no choice, Eva, Chakra Saber and Chakra Scythe. Understood. Reach both hands behind you to each ass cheek but do not take any damage at this time. Chakra Saber on left. Send Chakra into each to activate, Eva said. Naruto jumped into the air again as he reached his hands behind him to his ass and 2 4-inch rods shot out of his cheeks and Naruto screamed Tenten, catch, as he spun in the air throwing the rod in his left hand at Tenten as he brought the right around sending Chakra to his right hand and the rod extended to over 5 feet long and a 3-foot-long curved blade of Chakra shot out the top. Tenten saw Naruto leap into the air as she used the opportunity to throw the weapons she had unlocked at Kasama, forcing him to dodge. And she heard Naruto scream Tenten, catch, as she looked up and saw a 4-inch rod coming toward her, which she reached out and caught. At that moment, she heard a strange noise and looked up to see Naruto holding a scythe made of chakra as he brought it down toward Kasama, who blocked it with Simhata. What is this? Tenten screamed as she began to unseal more weapons. Kasama knocked the scythe out of Naruto's hand, sending it flying toward a tree, causing it to deactivate and return to a 4-inch rod before slamming Naruto in the side with Simhata, sending him into a tree. Naruto groaned from the blow and began to stand up when he felt a punch in the side of his helmet and was sent flying 4 feet away from Kasama, who shook his hand and said, damn it, you got armor everywhere. Naruto gradually approached all 4 and said, Chakra. Send Chakra into it. Kasama quickly turned to Tenten and threw a kunai at him while sending Chakra into the rod in her hand, causing a 3-feet-long blade to appear and she exclaimed, holy shit, it's the Raijin. Kasama frowned and began to flash through hand signs again. And 5 water-based sharks flew at Tenten, which she quickly sliced through, but Kasama appeared behind her and hit her in the back of the head, knocking her out, and as he prepared to kill her with his sword, Naruto kicked him in the side, sending him flying. Kasama hit a tree feet first as he launched toward Naruto after rebounding. And Naruto grabbed the Chakra Saber and began to block Kasama's strikes as he was forced back toward the cliff as Kasama's strikes became faster and more powerful. As Naruto approached the edge, Kasama said, now I got you, and when I'm done with you, I'll finish off your girl, as he went to slice Naruto down the middle with Simhata. But Naruto held up his left arm, taking the strike again. And Naruto went to slice Kasama in the side with the Chakra Saber. But Kasama grabbed Naruto's wrist, stopping the strike and he began to. Just then, a kunai hit Kasama in the back, causing him to scream and turn his body in case more were coming. And he saw Tenten, who had woken up long enough to attack again, pass out again. But the moment of distraction was all Naruto needed to take Kasama's motion and pull both of them off the cliff. As they fell, Kasama let go of Naruto to prepare to land on the water. And Naruto used his flying ability to get behind Kasama and quickly wrapped his arms around Kasama, saying, here's a move I saw Lee do, before spinning both of them head first into the water below. He let go of Kasama as they hit the water. And he heard Eva say, structural integrity down to 60%. Minor stress leak in the stomach section. Be careful, Naruto. We're not completely airtight at the moment. I'd say 10 minutes of air before you have to surface due to water intake. Kasama was underwater, shaking his head, when he noticed Naruto turn himself right side up, and he wondered, does he actually intend to fight me underwater? My bloodline allows me to breathe underwater thanks to my gills. Naruto activated his Chakra Saber, frowning as his power level dropped from 70 to 69.68, 0.67. He turned it off and wondered, how do I seal it, Eva? Just place it on your left ass cheek, and I'll do the rest, Eva said. Naruto did as she instructed, and it was transformed into a seal. Kasama took Simhata and tested his swing under the water before swimming quickly toward Naruto, who turned and began to go deeper into the water. Kasama followed until they were about 200 feet below the surface, when Naruto turned and clasped his hands together, and 2 more Naruto appeared, splitting up into 3 directions. Kasama came to a halt and looked at all 3, thinking, stupid clones, which one is the real one? When they were about 60 yards away from Kasama, all 3 came to a halt, faced him, held their hands out to the side, and began to gather chakra as Raisen's shuriken appeared. Kasama's eyes widened and he said, shit. as all 6 were thrown at him, but under the water they only moved about half as fast as they normally would. And the 2 Kagebunshin vanished. Naruto saw Kasama use Samehada to eat the closest 2 and turned to get the second 2, and Naruto saw he only had 5% of his chakra left, and he looked at his hand and saw that his cloak shield had dropped, and he charged toward Kasama, who had Samehada, eating the closest 2 Rasen shurikens, and had his back to Naruto. And Naruto got there just as Kasama began to turn, and he grabbed Kasama, who was screaming in agony, was swimming to the surface as quickly as he could to slow the blood loss from the slash in his side and the stump where his arm had been. Naruto saw this and laughed for a moment until the HUD display went out and everything inside the armor went dark. At which point he asked, "Eva, what's going on? Stand by." Eva said. Naruto paused for a moment as he tried to move as he felt his body hit the ocean floor. Then asked, "Eva," with a fearful tone in his voice, "stand by please." "I am very busy," Eva said. Naruto felt water inside the suit up to his waist and was becoming increasingly concerned when Eva said, "Beginning power-up sequence." As the HUD display appeared again and Naruto noticed the sonar display was on and asked, "What's going on, Eva? Sorry about that, but I had to divert resources toward repairing the damage to the stomach section of the suit. The pressure from the water caused the suit to crack in that area. I was able to seal off everything above the damage area to keep the water from going any higher than that, but it took nearly all of the remaining power you had, but after I got it into position I was able to release a little QI chakra into the power cell, and currently we have 15%. Eva said, "But what about the Samehada? I don't want Kasama coming back and getting it." Naruto pondered. "Based on where we ended up and where it started to fall, I would say it is somewhere within 100 square yards of our current location, but I can't tell you in which direction." Eva said after a brief silence, "Can you give me inferred as well as sonar? Perhaps the body heat from Kasama arm can help us find it." Naruto thought as he looked at the sonar display. Naruto noticed the HUD display change and looked around. Noticing several heat sources beneath the water, he formed a circle and asked, "That one? The one that is getting cooler quickly, do you have a lock on it?" "Yes," Eva replied. "All right, let's check that out," Naruto said as he moved slowly toward the heat source. A few minutes later, they came across a bed of coral, and Naruto saw Kasama's arm but did not see Samehada. So he grabbed the arm and looked around, thinking, "Damn it, do you think if we come back when we get more chakra, you could still find that area where it might be?" As his chakra levels slowly decreased. "Yes, but the range is getting wider by the minute," Eva said, as he began to walk toward the surface. Naruto sighed and said, "Fine, it's a lost item then." When he reached the surface, he looked around and saw that Kasama was nowhere to be found, and he suddenly felt lighter because all the armor had been sealed. And he wondered, "Eva, what's going on? I need to work on repairing the damage to the suit. And it would look strange with the cracks in your clothes where the damage was, wouldn't it?" Eva said, as he swam toward the wall and used chakra to climb to the top. Naruto frowned and thought, "All right, just let me know when it is ready again." When he reached the top, he noticed Tenten was still unconscious and frowned as he ran over to her, tapping her on the arm and saying, "Tenten, Tenten, can you hear me? Wake up." Tenten groaned as she turned a little. And Naruto thought, "Well, at least she's alive." As he looked around the clearing, his breath caught as he looked at the statue, and he saw the mask Haku wore was completely shattered. And he shed a tear. He then stood up and grabbed all the weapons, blinking as he found the chakra scythe and thinking, "Well, I'll have to wait until the suit is repaired to reseal it." As he placed it in his vest's pocket, he then walked back over to where Tenten was and he picked her up and began to carry her back to town. Gaara was in the middle of the road yelling, "No. Make it go away, please stop." As he held his head with a crazy expression on his face, Kankuro asked on a bench by the side of the road, "Funny, before when he was like this, I would be running and hiding." Temari slapped her head and exclaimed, "I can't believe him. How embarrassing." "Hey, you can't blame him," Kankuro said. Gaara stood up straight and took some of the money Naruto had given him, saying, "I will have another please." As he saw Naruto coming down the road with Tenten in his arms passed out, a man said, "Look kid, I know you like the slushies, but if you keep drinking them that fast the brain freeze your feeling is going to get worse. Now what? Naruto-sama, is everything alright?" Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari all turned, and Temari saw Naruto's cloak on Tenten and snickered. "Looks like she was easy after all." Naruto glared at her and asked, "Do any of you three know any medical jutsu?" All three of them blinked. Kankuro, who had been snickering at the time, was the first to recover and inquired, "What's wrong?" "She likes it rough." Naruto kicked him in the nuts, causing him to scream in pain before collapsing to the ground. Holding himself, Naruto glared at him and asked, "Now, do you know any medical jutsu?" "No." "Naruto, why don't we?" Gaara replied, "Get your siblings and follow me." Naruto said, "We were attacked by a missing nin." At this point, all three became serious or as serious as one can be while holding himself. But Temari inquired, "Who was it and what happened?" Tenten shifted in Naruto's grip, and Kisama's stomach arm fell to the ground, causing a woman nearby to scream and the slushy vendor to pale as he began to walk toward the inn. Naruto said, "He got away, but not without us getting a piece of him. Pick that up for me. I need to get Tenten some help." As he began to follow Naruto, Gaara picked it up with his sand and said, "Come. Did you see that arm? It was blue." "Who the hell has blue skin?" Kankuro said, frowning. Temari looked at her brother and said, "Did you notice anything wrong with that picture? Though, other than having wet cloths, he looks unharmed." Kankuro paused for a moment before saying, "Hey, you're right." As Temari ran to catch up with Naruto and Gaara, she rolled her eyes and said, "I'm always right. It comes with being a woman, come on."
I will continue the story in next part, so turn on the bell notification so you never miss an upload. Till then, be Weeb offline.